I'd like the most popular home video game system ever.
Ah, the system you want is the Atari 2600.
That's so fast. I want a system that can play hundreds of games.
Oh, then what you want is the Atari 2600.
But I'd like the system that can also play educational games for my children.
Then what you want is the Atari 2600.
Fine, but I want a real low price.
Oh, the Atari 2600 is priced incredibly low.
That's what I want.
The Atari 2600.
Now with its new exciting games at a new low price.
Danita Stokes, president of HAG.
It's bad enough that Sega Genesis has the most 16-bit games, but this new Sonic the Hedgehog, oh, he really duffed my doilies. They say he's incredibly fast. Well, what's the hurry, mister? And about his attitude. Smarty pants. Why can't it be more like that nice boy Mario? Oh! Little brat!
Now, get Sonic free when you buy a Sega Genesis system at its new price of $149.99.
So get real, only from Panasonic.
Hello everyone, this is Ultra or Dev, depending on your economy. We're continuing what we did in the last video, talking about each company's history and how they started, in my opinion, is how they're going to fall down. Now, there was a fearing crash in 1983 to 1985. I'll break it down for you guys so it can be as simple as it can. If not, I'll talk about it after the AI voice bot explains it.
The video game crash of 1983 was a large-scale recession in the video game industry that occurred from 1983 to 1985 in the United States. The crash was attributed to several factors, including market saturation in the number of video game consoles and available games, many of which were of poor quality.
You'll probably talk about the next one. But we'll check it out. Let's get on to our first company. Yes, I decided they're at Nintendo's rivalry or pal now, or forced, because they had the most interesting history to me. So let's get started. Sega origins go all the way to Hawaii as it Surface Games by 1984. Surface Games, aka Sega, was founded to supply core number of games, but the United States military, which is actually surprising, they didn't start making arcade games until 1956 when they moved to Japan, when they were named David Ross's Enterprises, and began to develop arcade games. The most successful one was called Paris Cope. It was a coin-operated shooting game. I think it was submarine themed. So let's get on to the first fin, the second fin. Sega went from establishing major consoles by 1980s. They shifted into console incorporators. Sega entered the home consumer market with the SG 3000 and the SG 1000. The SG 3000 was a comparator, the 1000 was a gaming console. And in 1983 and 1985, now I really don't know if this is true, but correct me if I'm wrong. But in 1985, they released the Sega Mark III, which was a redesign of the SG-1000. This became the Sega Master System in Japan. Despite the superior technology, The Master System and Nintendo's aggressive market strategies in North America infected marketing by Decora for Sega's console prevented it capturing significant market share. Now that was I got confused with some of them, so in the comments, please correct me if I'm wrong. But let's get to the Genesis and the hardware era. In 1988, Sega launched the Mega Drive in Japan, which became the Sega Genesis in North America. The Genesis was a successful 16-bit console that challenged Nintendo's market dominance. That was pretty strong. Let's get to the next part. It was 1990 when Sega was creating a mascot. It was against Nintendo or Japan Mario. A full contest for we were going to settle with a rabbit to the community. I think it was named up. I don't know much about it, but they settled with a character named Hedgehog, which was getting into Sonic. Now I'm going to try to say his name. No, it's only. And by the year 1991, Sonic the Hedgehog 1 was released to the public. Those were some of the early concept designs for Sonic before the games released. Now, I don't have any research up on these, so I'll probably do a video on mascots gaming companies. I don't know if I will, but before I use track, I'm gonna continue where I left off. We all know about the Sega CD and the 32X, I believe. I'll try to break it down as quick as possible so you guys don't get bored. We all knew the Sega CD ran on discs, which was the reason why Sonic CD, it's pretty simple, ran off of a disc. And I don't know what the 32X was. I believe it was like Sonic and Knuckles, but I'll figure out later on and I'll add more to it if I do another part of this series. Well, yeah, the Sega CD and the 32X basically failed. So that's about it for that one. Let's get to our next part. I believe one of the final parts of Sega's thing. Let's just do this as quick as possible. The Sega Saturn and the Dreamcast both did not achieve the same level of success as the Genesis did, which is actually really sad since Sonic Adventure games were probably one of the most successful games on that console, and I am probably looking forward to Dreamcast to see what it is for myself. Anyway, let's get to the last part of Sega's thing, I believe. Due to the financial losses Sega made from the Dreamcast and the Saturn, they announced its exit in the console hardware business in 2001. Which actually was pretty sad, since I don't know what Sega would be if they still make consoles to this day. Maybe they'll still be working with Nintendo. Maybe they'll be not making $600 consoles like Nintendo did. Now we have one last thing about Sega software development. Since Sega focused on publishing games for other platforms, it's called a third-party company, and it's one of the biggest ones out there to this day. So we got like Sonic Generation, Sonic Frontiers. I'm not naming all of the Sonic games on other consoles, but most of them got reports. So yeah, Sega's been doing good and bad. It depends which games they make. Now, do I think Sega's gonna follow? No, it depends what else games they post, but in my opinion, they probably won't fall down until probably the future. I don't know what year. I'm just gonna say probably 50, 20. It probably has longer than Nintendo's going on for. But all we have to do is wait and see. I put Sega first since I'm a Sonic fan after all. But let's get to the second company I put down, Atari. Hey, Atari was founded by Noah Bussell and Todd DeVille. And it quickly rose to popularity with the use of the iconic arcade game Pong. The company played a prevalent role in the industry of video games in personal computers industry, launching popular arcade games in home systems like the Atari 2600 after a sale to Warner Communications in 1976. And in 1983, the video game crash, the company underwent significant changes, eventually spitting into Atari games. The arcade industry, interfacing the brand, has changed multiple times since then. With the current company, Atari don't know what that means, SA, that's something else on the internet, focusing on the game development in Yoshino. Okay, let's get to our first part. Neil Bush and Ted Bell incorporated Atari Inc. after the success of the first arcade game, Computer Space Plus Pong, was released. Well, Pong was the arcade game, and then we had the Space Computer game, I don't know what that is, probably Space Invaders. And by 1976, Warner Communications purchased Atari. In 1977, Atari released the computer console, more known as the Atari 2600. In 1983, a video game crash happened, which began in the video game industry. I put it in the beginning of the video, but it ran from 1983 to 1985. These games being high marketing, or which were made of very poor quality as far as I know. In 1983 to 1994, they tried shifting to home computers and experienced financial difficulties. I got guessing. But let's get to the final part. Well, halfway through Atari's. I asked the script, so I had to just make Atari's short. I'm sorry, guys. In 1996, Atari's assets was sold its assets. In 1998, the brand and its corporation properties were sold to Hasbro Interactive. 2001, Infogrames, yet renamed Atari SA, acquired Hasbro Interactive, including the Atari brand, and present Atari continues to use its trademark and create new games across PC, console, and mobile platforms. all that shit, but it started a bunch of well, I think it did. No, it didn't start video games, but it did cause the most video game crash in history. So, gotta give them props for that. Anyway, let's go to one of the ass companies, Panasonic. Now, before I begin, I know the Panasonic console was made by Electronic Arts, but there was 3 of them, and the Panasonic one was, I think, the most popular one out there, so I'm counting as that as the one console. Anyway, let's begin. What I'm gonna be doing the origin of the video, if I want, I'll probably make one of the management company's history. In future videos, since they make it homeware stuff, not consoles. So, let's begin, shall we? I was originally convinced by the Electronic Arts founder, Trip Hawkins, and his company. The 3DO company was founded in 1991. That was really fast. Everyone slowed her down again. Trip Hawkins, founder of the Electronic Arts and the 3DO company, he was convinced of the 3DO idea. The company had developed the 3DO hardware, started and licensed the technology. Dave Needle and RG Michael, designer of the 3DO console, specific under a new technology group before partnering with Hawkins. Panasonic is the first company to release a console in 1993. That's basically it for the video. I will try that Panasonic in a different video if I can. I'll probably add them in the company's video of how each company started, well, at least this video. But let's get on to the faults, and I'll put Panasonic in like a different video by doing a different topic of a different type of thing related to for you. My thoughts are, keep making batteries. I need more wheel mounts for the wheel. Or the Nintendo makes the wheel mounts, they just make the batteries. Anyway, that's my fault, just batteries.